All right, welcome to the Jeff Heggie Show. I'm glad to be here today with Mandy Green. She is the founder of Busy Coach and the vice president of Tudor Collegiate Strategies. She's the author of 5 books, a speaker, and a consultant. She works with coaches all over the country, teaching principles and strategies to help them reach higher levels of performance as a coach and a recruiter. She's been a college soccer coach for 23 years, and just from my personal experience with her, she's got a lot of things going on that I'm excited about. So thank you for joining me, Mandy. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for having me. Grew up as an athlete, and it's funny, I never thought I would get into coaching. And it just happened to be where my old high school coach suggested me to coach a team. And I'm like, sure, I'll try it out. And got my brother, who I was 20 something at the time, and my brother was 17, and we just laughed the whole time. And I loved the interaction with the kids we were working with and working with my brother. And I don't know, I never dreamed I would ever coach because I didn't like speaking in front of people, right? And I didn't think it was something I wanted to do. And it just stuck. And 23, 24 years later, I still coach maybe a little bit my kids' team. I still volunteer a little bit with Youngstown State down the street. But yeah, now I've transitioned into coaching mostly athletes to now coaching coaches, high school coaches, youth coaches, college coaches on all things performance. I mean, there's a lot of things that coaches do every year that are repeatable tasks. And instead of reinventing the wheel and making things much harder than they need to be and working off the top of their head saying, oh crap, I forgot that, right? It's setting up just more proactive ways to work and getting ahead on things and making sure that you're spending enough time working on the right things. You're providing a lot of value for the position that you're in is what I've been doing lately.
Very cool. It's something that just caught my attention right off the bat was talking about one of your old coaches coming to you, and that kind of spurred you getting into it. One of the things I talk a lot about with the athletes I work with is the impact that coaches have on you. Mm-hmm. And, because the listeners of this program are diversified between athletes to entrepreneurs, high achievers and whatnot, I also talk a lot about how impactful, a lot of the lessons I've learned as an athlete growing up are life lessons that I continue with today. So do you want to just talk a little bit about the impact that coaches have had on you and what your thoughts are around that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say I'm I've been blessed with being able to be coached by a lot of very positive coaches who had influences on me in that they challenged my thinking. They challenged probably challenged my work ethic a little bit when I didn't think I could do something. They got me to do something a little bit more than what I thought I was capable of. I think these are coaches who got me to change my perspective on things when I thought, this was the only way, right? Plan A was the only way. Well, why don't you think about plan B, plan C, right? And so, just different things that I found, I didn't realize it was happening at the time, and I probably didn't enjoy it at the time. But now looking back, I see that, they got me to just see things from a different perspective, obviously the impact of the positive communication and positive body language and positive behavior, how it can, massively affect the confidence and, the motivation of a young person, seeing how that made such a massive impact on me. And then it just got me open. It got me open to the possibilities of trying new things that I probably never would have done before had I not had somebody pushing me to do more than I thought I was capable of doing. And so I certainly would not be where I am today without the influences of some of the coaches that I was lucky to have. That's why I got into college coaching. Is my old coach, I played 2 years at Loyola of Chicago. That coach left after the fall of my freshman year, and I loved her. She left to go to coach at University of Utah. And I was bummed at the time, but I stayed there and I kept going. And after I graduated, I just got a tap on the shoulder. I saw her husband at a recruiting event, and they invited me to come out and work their summer camp, and possibly, they were trying to talk me into taking their volunteer position. And I'm like, I'm not moving to Utah to take a volunteer position, but just being around them and seeing, again, who they were as people. And, I don't know, they just provided another opportunity and got me to see bigger and better things for what I could do with my future. And so, I went that way. And so, and that's where, the saying, right? A coach can influence more people in 1 year than most people do in their lifetime. And so I think, coaches have a very big platform that they can influence a lot of people in a positive way. And I certainly have experienced it. And so that's where I'm now taking the position that I'm in, and trying to do the same thing and educate coaches on lessons learned, hard lessons learned, things to do, things to not do, so that they can, also hopefully put themselves in a position to make the same impact that, I had on me.
Augmandino said that the difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the keys to success. Many of the habits that will bring you success in life are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. I developed the Mindset Journal so that I could easily implement powerful success habits into my daily routine. The power of the Mindset Journal comes from knowing your top priorities and scheduling them into your day. The power of the reticular activating system and its relationship to your goals, your mindset questions, and your daily accountability. So if you want to implement some quick and effective success habits into your daily routine, go to jeffheggie.com/mindset journal and get yours today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And, as you say that, I think of something we were talking about before the call. And, you were saying coaches got me to do things I couldn't do, or things that I might not have liked at the time. And talk a little bit, how do coaches do that? Talk about what we were talking about, that love-hate relationship that we sometimes have with our athletes.
Certainly, right. And that's where I think, everybody, right? That's why professionals have coaches, Olympic athletes have coaches. I mean, they certainly have gotten themselves to where they're at because of their talents. But I think to truly reach your potential, you've got to have somebody getting you to get outside of yourself, right? And out of your own way and out of your tunnel thinking of this is the only way to do it, and be able to bring in outside perspectives on different ways to tweak and optimize, what you're currently doing. And a lot of times I think as an athlete, you don't see that, right? Yourself, because you're just in the heat of the battle. But that's where I think the coach who's coming from, that 30,000 foot perspective, who's got a lot of experiences and probably tried and failed and tried and had success with a lot of different things, can, bring their experience into the conversation, communicate, hopefully if they're communicating effectively, and can help athletes get results that they're after much quicker. Right.
Right. So talk a little bit about the transition you took to going from being a coach to starting to coach coaches, and how that's been, and more about what you do there.
Yeah, no, and this again wasn't something I thought I would do. It just, the opportunity presented itself. But I started, my company Busy Coach was started in an effort to solve my own problems. I became a first-time head coach and a first-time mom all within 10 days of each other. And I was just telling this story to a volleyball coach that I was just on a line with. And I'm like, I was scheduled to have a C-section March 15th, and the school wanted me to come on March 15th. I had the C-section. March 16th is when they wanted to have me come on the interview. And I'm like, can't do it. Right. I needed to wait a week, and flew out and, did the interview, got the job. Within the next week, I was finishing my old job, starting my new job, and I needed to get to the campus because they were about to leave for the semester. So I just got there quick. Well, I inherited a mess. The team was, there wasn't enough players for that next season. The schedule was wrong. The office, nothing was organized, right? It was a mess. And so I mean, as coaches, there are really thousands of things on a coach's to-do list that you could do. And I was trying to do all of it. And for 24/7, I had my mom hat, my coach's hat, my wife hat. Like, I was trying to do everything. And I quickly was burning out. And I kind of had two choices. It was either I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and probably need to leave the profession because I'm going to burn out, or I can find a better way. And so I took option 2, and I probably spent a small fortune, but just started learning and reading and applying and interviewing people, trying to figure out, right, how I can do this job better so I can stay in this career that I loved for much longer. And it worked for a while. It certainly did. And then it came a book, right? And then I wrote a book about it. And then because people started to notice, why is this, what's going on with you? Like, how are you getting that done so fast? And how are you doing this and doing that? And it started with a book. And then I started speaking at different events, and just more and more people started coming up and asking how I was doing all this stuff. And I don't know, pretty soon it just, it came a time where, with my kids being the age that they're at, it just made sense for me to transition out so I could be home more with them, doing things that they're doing. And my husband still coaches full time. And so it just was a good time for me to kind of transition out. And I got lucky in that I've had a good relationship with Dan Tudor, the owner of Tudor Collegiate Strategies, for the last, he's been trying to get me out of college coaching for about 15 years. And it just worked. It worked. The timing was right, where, I transitioned to kind of managing a lot of his clients and coaching his clients on how to more effectively recruit student athletes. And I found that most of them were not being effective recruiting because they were very unorganized, right? And very unproductive, and weren't delegating properly to their staff, and or weren't managing their energy, right? I think most people pay more attention to the charge on their phone than their own energy, right? And so it just, I don't know, it started as my own thing that I needed to figure out. And then I just seeing that there's really no training with college coaches on how to do these things. And so that's where I just started to kind of try to put some things out there, to see if it would help. And then it just kind of all of a sudden became a business, and it never really started as thinking I was going to create a business from it. It just, I saw a need for it, and it just kind of has blossomed from there.
That's awesome, because, from my own experience as a coach, there's a lot of things that I did out of thinking I was doing the best thing. Mm-hmm. And then, whether it was learning from another coach or going to a seminar or something, figuring out, there's a better way. And, a lot of the things we do as coaches, as leaders, as parents, or whatever, we're doing the best we can because we only have a limited amount of knowledge in a lot of these things. I know as recently as the recent teams that I ran, a lot of the things we ran were the things my coaches taught me as plays and whatnot 30 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And right. So to be able to get that knowledge from someone else and different perspectives is such a valuable tool. We will talk about it and make sure that we have links and everything, but tell us about the books. What are the books that you have? I know you have 5 books.
Yeah, no. So one of them is just a basic, not basic, but time management book for coaches, right? It starts with, we need a, that true north, right? What is the ultimate goal that we're after? So we have a filter to use to help us make decisions quicker. And then what are the goals that we need to set? So then we are aligning our daily behavior, making sure that we're taking action towards those goals to help us accomplish those goals faster. And then it's, I just give a lot of different tips and strategies for different, because how you are productive during the day is probably different than how I am productive during the day. And everybody's got their own way to work. So I just give a lot of different ideas of different things you could possibly apply to figure out what is the most ideal thing I need to do based on, again, the ultimate goal is being a consistently high performing coach. What are the actions, right, I need to be taking? So that's a time management workbook for coaches. I created a day planner that is very specific to college coaches and what we do, and then have basically a high performance system, right, that you create where it's based on the foundation of, right, you again start with a vision, and then you got a plan, right? What are the goals, and how can I set up my day so I'm reaching, right, that vision? You got to execute on the plan, and then you review. Coaches, right, we watch game film all the time, and game film doesn't lie, right? It tells us how well we're executing on that plan. And so that's kind of the premise of the way that I have it set up is, you're basically you set your goals at the beginning of the year, like all coaches do. We set a plan for the season, we execute on the plan, and then we review the film, right? Every couple of weeks, checking in, how are we doing on that? What do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? What should I do more of? What should I do less of? And what do I need to continue doing? Coaches, we get going so busy in so many different directions, right, that if we're not checking back in to see if we're on the right track, before we know it, we're completely off course, and then, we're not accomplishing anything. And so it's just a day planning system that I have. I've got a tracking journal. Most coaches just get on automatic pilot, right, and go through their day. And I want coaches to make decisions based on the numbers. So I've got ways to track habits, track their recruiting, track their energy, track when they're multitasking, track what else is there? Communication that they have with their current team, or communication that they're having with their recruits. So just different things to, again, some of the key vital priorities that coaches have. How can we track it? Because ultimately we want to make sure that we're aligning when our energy and focus is the best to when we have the fewest distractions in the day, right? And then when it's time to work, with some of the recruiting tracking tools, it's making sure that we're prioritizing communicating with the right kids, not just, because not all recruits are created equal, depending on where your program is at. Some are going to help you build quickly. Some are just more roster number kids, right? And so it's, just making sure they're prioritizing on that kind of stuff. I have a habits tracker, like a 21-day productivity habit challenge that I created for coaches. And then I've got a way to organize it. I call it kick-ass recruiting workbook, where it's just systems, right? Systems for recruiting. What are the systems you have? Because I think everybody's got systems and they're set up perfectly for the results that they're getting. And if they're not getting the ideal results, we got to change something in the system. And so I just outline different recruiting systems that they could have, and then show some different ways to potentially set it up a little bit differently to work from a more optimal, right, optimize and more efficient, more effective way.
Awesome. Now, I'll make sure to get all the links from you, but where are these available?
Yeah, if you go to my website, busy.coach is where everything is in the store. And then, I've got a YouTube channel where I talk about some of that kind of stuff on there, and I'm on Twitter as well. So I'll give you the links to those things as well.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure those are all in the show notes so people can find those. So from a coaching perspective, you see so many coaches that can pull so much out of an athlete. And it doesn't matter if it's a coach and an athlete or a boss and an employee. Sometimes they just know how to do it. And then other times it's like all of a sudden an athlete ends up in a transfer portal because they've got the talent, but they're not clicking with the system or the coach or whatever.
Yeah.
What is your advice to coaches or leaders on how to best manage relationships and get the most out of their players?
I think a lot of that starts with, before you hire or before you bring on a new athlete with your team, if you have the luxury, right? I know like some high school coaches, right? It's who's on your team is determined by where they live. But as college coaches, right, we choose who is on our team. And I think I'm a big believer in you're going to make your job a heck of a lot easier, and the quality of kid you get and how easy it is to work with them and bring out the best in them, I think is dependent on the quality of questions that you ask in the hiring, right, or in the recruiting process. And so if you can be clear on who is the right fit for me, I think, and then finding the right questions to ask to make sure that you're, identifying the red flags of the kids who display characteristics that you will not tolerate, right? Because right, we've all probably worked with athletes who just are not a good fit for the way that we coach. How much harder does that make your job? And how does that affect the culture of your team, right? And I think there's no perfect way to do that, but I really am, especially in my position as that I've had with Dan Tudor and getting to talk with coaches in the recruiting, asking really good questions to make sure that we have the right people, right, in the right seats on the bus and based on the direction you're going, right? I love John Gordon stuff. So but that, and then, I think it's making sure that you've got the right people, in your organization is kind of the first thing. And then, I think for coaches, I think both of you and I would agree that coaches, we got to be stubborn, right? Because we have a belief in the way that we know works. And a lot of times, right, our athletes kind of fight us on it, especially if it's new and it's different and it's a change to the way that they're comfortable, competing. And so that's where we gotta, when we stick to our beliefs and we, and that's, you probably have told teams like, be more nervous when I'm not talking to you. It's right. It's just those coaches that have the energy and have the passion and the belief in what you're coaching and how it will impact the student athletes, and then it's just being consistent and sticking with that belief. That's where I feel like coaches do the best job, and surrounding themselves with other assistant coaches that also can reinforce that. It's just that the belief, the passion, the consistency, the clear communication, and then being stubborn and not giving up on that athlete. That's when I feel like coaches bring out the best in their teams.
Yeah, thank you for that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what brought you and I together. You've got a really cool project, and I think it's going to have a big impact. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, no. So I'm creating something called the Ultimate Coaching Bundle. And I have been on the lookout. I had a core group of people that I have just been familiar with as I've journeyed from being a college coach to being more in the entrepreneurial space. And with each of those people, they all, contacted me with, that's how I got to know you, is through Tammy Matheny. And it's what we're doing is, there's a lot of people out there. We all have our own niche, right? We all have our kind of superpower that we do. Well, not everybody knows about everybody, right? And so what I'm trying to do from the entrepreneurial side of it is, in a way, all help each other out and bring all of the experts in that have information, have advice that could positively affect the ability of a coach to do their job better over the course of their season. I'm trying to bring us all together and then, in a way, put us in front of everybody else's audience. So, one, we're helping more people with one product, but two, obviously, right, so we can, build our businesses and just increase the eyeballs on what we're doing, but then just from the coach's perspective, hopefully it's a win-win-win, right? Is we win because now we get to collaborate with other experts in our field and, get a better understanding of what you're doing so we can create some projects like that, again, expand our reach a little bit, but also, hopefully put together a very valuable group of different projects, or again, all of our superpowers, kind of put it all together in one, so coaches have access to a lot of things to help them, navigate through their season, based on, what's going on, and just help them in different ways that maybe they weren't exposed to before.
Yeah, and it's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to this, and I'll make sure the link to get access to that program is in the show notes as well, so that you can go there and get that. Now, you've talked a lot about your books and creating the systems and all that. If you were to advise a coach on some specific success habits that he or she needs to implement on a regular basis for themselves, what would those be?
Yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of talking to coaches about habits that have a multiplier effect in many different areas, right? So they're kind of that keystone habit, right? And the keystone, right, is that middle piece that holds everything else together. I think, again, we've talked about the amount of things that show up in an entrepreneurial's day, a coach's day, an athlete's day. There's so many things that could be done, but I like to talk about it in terms of keystone habits. So like one keystone habit that I think everybody needs to be doing is health and fitness, right? Is I found and I didn't realize this was a keystone habit for me, but I found that when we first moved to Ohio, I was gym shopping, right? And I found this one gym that kicks my butt every single time I'm in there. I never walk out of there thinking, oh my gosh, that was easy today, right? But I can go and I don't have to think. He just takes me through this really hard workout and I'm done, right? So what I found doing those workouts 3 to 4 days a week, not only is I'm healthier, so it's helped my conditioning, which helps my ability to perform at a higher level more consistently, right? I am stronger, right? Which is helping me recover and, do all that with all the stuff that I'm doing. On the drive to the place, I'm listening to podcasts, right? Which is helping me create more content and higher quality content for the people that I'm trying to reach. This is something that has helped my confidence. It's helped I'm sleeping better. I eat better because of it, right? So it's not like I tried to, do 15 different habits all in one. I found one habit that did like 10 different things, you know what I'm saying, as a result of the one thing. And so that's where I try to talk with, coaches and athletes about is I think planning is one thing that most coaches show up on the day and they open their inbox and their inbox tells them what to do. And then they're putting out fires all day and they're spinning their wheels. I think one 15-minute planning session the night before, I think now you're probably going to sleep better because you're going to bed with a plan and you're waking up with a purpose, which is going to help you get to work faster, which will help you maybe avoid some distractions. It's going to reduce the friction to get started because you already have decided the night before what you're going to work on, right? You're probably working on more important, higher value things versus just, again, starting with the easy thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one thing that has a multiplier effect across a lot of other areas. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and each person has different things. Like another keystone habit I found was having a work stop time. When am I stopping work for the day? Right? So it's kind of the effect. I was looking for the effect of like going on vacation, right? When you go on vacation, don't you work like mad leading up to that vacation because you don't want to have to work while you're on vacation. So you focus and you work more urgently, and you prioritize and the right things get done. When you're on vacation, you're resting. You're probably not looking at your phone as much. You're, sleeping, you're whatever, right? You're having fun, which makes it when you go back to work, right? You're more energized, you're more productive right away, right? So I try to create something like that every single day where I would have a work stop. My work stop time usually was at 3 because I had practiced at 3:30. So I would stop at 3, which meant, okay, I can't bring work home with me. because of this work stop time. So these are things that have to get done, and I have to find a way to carve out time during the day to do it. And I've only got so much time, so I had to work faster and more urgently and avoid a lot of distractions, right? But I found the work quality went up. I was not procrastinating as much, right? I had to get better at delegating to other people so we could multiply what we were doing together, right? But then when work was done, I allowed myself the time to shut down. Sometimes I still, like, later on at night worked, but at least for a few hours. I got little people, right? And I wanted time to, I needed to give time for myself to, rest and recover and, hang out and laugh and do other things that weren't coaching. So I was recharging my batteries, right? But so, those are 3 examples of 3 keystone habits that I found just focusing on setting those up, had a big impact on a lot of other areas that I was doing.
There were a lot of nuggets in there that you shared that are so valuable, but just going off that last one, I think that is a powerful one to look at, especially with so many people working remotely now, because it's so easy to start your day and it goes till you go to bed, right? Because the work's right there in the next room or whatever. And I love that idea, because you are most productive the day before vacation. And if you can set that deadline and have that same productivity every day by the end of what time you set, I think that is so great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. So we will have all the links and everything in the show notes, but share with everyone where they can find you, where they can follow you, find out more about you and all of that as well.
Yeah, no, if you go to my website again, the busy.coach, there I have a newsletter that goes out every Sunday where I'm trying to, short, quick little things to, keep people on track and keep giving ideas of just different ways to adjust what they're currently doing, right? Because I would say most people are doing things right for the most part, but I've really seen just slight little changes of perspective, slight little mindset change, slight little adjustment of, prioritizing one thing over another, right? Or doing your most important work in the morning versus at night, right? Some of those kinds of things make a massive difference in the quality and the quantity of high value things that coaches are choosing to work on. So my website has most of the stuff in there. I've got a few other online courses that coaches can take. But Twitter, I'm at Mandy Green CPS is where I am at on Twitter. I have an Instagram account, but I'm also on YouTube. I'm trying to create as a multiplier, right? I've created a YouTube page where now, as I'm working on becoming a better presenter, right? I'm working on mastering my topic. I'm working on, trying to get more exposure for the type of work that I really can help coaches do. I've got the YouTube page that is, I think you either find it through Mandy Green or through Busy Coach. I just started it, so I'm still working on, what the contact is, but I'll send you the links. But that I would say those are the big places to get a hold of me.
Thank you. And it going back to what we talked about earlier, proximity is power. It's the people that we surround ourselves with are what's going to help us get to the next level. And we don't know what we don't know. So when you can talk with other coaches, learn from people like Mandy, learn the strategies that have worked for her, worked for so many other coaches that she works with, it can really make you a better leader, better coach, and all of those things. So Mandy, thank you so much for being with me today. Really appreciate you sharing what you do and how you're doing it. It's so valuable. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Are you an entrepreneur who wants to discover the breakthrough secrets that will produce the results you've been searching for, but you just can't seem to figure out why you keep working harder and harder and you're just not getting those results? I want to tell you about a new challenge that I've created just for you, the Business Domination Challenge. If you want to create the entrepreneurial lifestyle and the business you dream of, then this is exactly what you're looking for. I created the Business Domination Challenge to show you how to grow your business exponentially and to become an optimal performing entrepreneur. What's an optimal performing entrepreneur? It's an entrepreneur who's succeeding in all areas of their life. If I show you how to build a successful business, but your relationships, your health, and everything else is falling apart, that's not a success. It's not about working harder, it's about implementing the correct principles and becoming the person who can do the things that produce the results. Hurry and go to jeffheggie.com/business domination and secure your spot today.